Welcome back to Kind of Funny's Don't Breathe in Review. That's right. We are ranking and reviewing every movie in the Don't Breathe franchise. I can't even say it with a straight face. It's a funny thing to say. But anyways, of course, I am Tim Geddes, and I'm joined with, it's Christmas in August, Joey Noel.
Nick, keep singing the No Doubt.
Don't breathe. I know what you're thinking. You're hiding under the bed. Spoilers, when he looks, you're not there because your dad trained you in survival tactics.
That voice, of course, the voice of an angel, the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Top of the morning to you, Tim. This movie was violent. Me and Joey sat next to each other during it, and we both, at one point, I looked over her, and she was like, I can't tell you either because we're both covering our eyes. What a great time. I had 2 hot dogs.
We have the big dog, Kevin Coelho.
You know, it's just I've been in Kevin Hart's shoes so many times where you say something that just comes naturally out of you, and then Don Cheadle looks at you and is like, "That was rude." And Nick, I'm sorry. It's just seeing it that way. Yeah,
it is. You do know now how it feels. All I know is this. Of course, we're referencing a video we watched off camera, but I'll just tell you guys this right now. Cameron, I know you're a young buck of 14 years old. It's amazing. Yep. You're way ahead of your time. You're the Doogie Howser of Canada.
He is the Bossa Nova from Nova Scotia.
Bossa Nova from Nova Scotia. But what I'll say is this: there's an old saying, and everyone knows that old sayings are always right because they're old. What goes around comes around. One day, somebody's going to give you shit, Kevin, for being old, just like they've already started giving Tim shit for being old and his terrible takes on rap music. So I'm just going to sit and wait. Will I be dead by then? Probably. I'm Italian. We die by 50.
Or will you remain living like the old man at the end of this movie?
Is he?
Let me tell you, we're jumping ahead right here, but let me tell you, Fede Alvarez, the writer of the movie, was telling audiences, stay, there is a post-credit scene. And when one of the reviewers was like, oh man, I watched the movie and I didn't stay. And like, it's a scene where he says, quote, the hand moves ever so slightly, proving that the blind man survived his wounds. We all look like this.
It doesn't move ever so slightly.
We didn't see no motion.
We're jumping really far and maybe we shouldn't, you know?
This is why I don't like it. This is why I don't like it. Okay. Did the top fall? Or did the top not fall? Okay, don't fucking do this to me.
Great point. It clearly starts to, Nick, it starts to wobble. It's very clear to everyone.
Commit is all I'm saying. Fede
I love the idea of, we don't know if he moved or not. And it turns out he didn't move. They just put an after credit scene of showing like, oh, the body's still laying here dead.
That's what we thought.
Yeah.
We were like, okay.
Confirm.
I thought it was more of like, oh, don't worry. The dog has plenty to eat.
That's what I thought too. Because I was worried. Because as Joey will know, the entire time we were rooting for the dog. That dog was
very adorable.
Stopped trying to murder everyone.
The little floppy ears.
Yeah, it's got little floppy ears that flip over like this.
Little
floppy ears like this. And you just want to give a little pets.
Pat him away.
Gotta do it quickly or else he bites fingers off. But yeah,
he'll murder you. He'll eat your arm off.
Of course, this is Kind of Funny's in Review, where each and every week we rank and review 2 different movie franchises. We'll wrap it up. Don't breathe for now. Will there be a third one? We'll have to wait and see. And if so, we'll return to this very show. But until then, I'm pleased to announce we're continuing the horror train. Choo choo, everybody. Next week, Scream in Review begins. That's going to be fun. We're going to be doing Scream 1 through 4 to prepare ourselves for Scream 5 that is coming early next year, which is kind of fun. But before we get to that, because that will be next Friday's episode of this show, we're going to return to Pixar in Review with Coco, everybody, with Andy Cortez. Do not fret. Do not worry. Of course, he'll be there. And we will all remember him.
How many songs do you think he's going to prepare for Monday? Like, do you think he's going to learn everything?
But knowing Andy, he forgot his guitar. So,
how many do you think he'll end up playing by the end?
1.
13 songs. 1 in review. It's going to be fantastic. You can watch the show on youtube.com/kindoffunny or roosterteeth.com. If you want to get it as a podcast, just search your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny in Review, and we'll be right there for you. If you want to get the show ad-free, and if you want to watch live as we record it, you got to go to patreon.com/kindoffunny, and you can do just that, just like our Patreon producer, Molecule, has done. And because of that, he won't have to hear the ads like MeUndies, Faherty, and Upstart that everyone else will have to listen to. But without further ado, let's talk about it. Don't Breathe 2, with a runtime of 1 hour and 28 minutes. Exactly the same as the first movie.
It felt
that's random.
Way longer. It felt
So much
I was
longer.
like, this movie is 2.5 hours long. I'm fading fast.
1 hour, 28 minutes.
Oh wow, okay.
I want to say about 30 minutes before it ended, I was like, oh wow, it's gonna be a short movie. This is a good place to end it. It's all right. Here we go.
Tight
The mom
50
rolls up in a
minutes.
wheelchair. You're like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
There's
It was
another twist.
released on August 23rd, 2021. Producer Sam Raimi was quoted
August
a few years
23rd.
back.
12.
13th, August
13th.
13th, 2021. Producer Sam Raimi was quoted saying, "It's only the greatest idea for a sequel I've ever heard. I'm not kidding."
Sam
He
Raimi
was.
not great at sequels though. Or well, let's not forget Spider-Man
Not
3.
great at movies in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's not true. Army of Darkness, fantastic sequel to Evil Dead 2.
You just said he wasn't
Terrible
good at
sequel to
sequels.
Evil Dead 1.
I mean, it's a sequel to either of them, right? They're both the same movie.
It was
It's a
directed
threequel.
by Rodo Sayagues, a Uruguayan screenwriter, producer, lyricist. I love that lyricist gets a shout out. Actor and director, best known for his work on Fede Alvarez's films, including Evil Dead in 2013, Don't Breathe in 2016, and Don't Breathe 2 in 2021. It had a budget of $10 million, which is exactly the same as the first movie. There's
Yeah,
a trend.
that's
There's a
enough.
trend.
Yeah, that's
Will this
enough.
trend continue? Probably not, because the first movie made 160 million at the box office, and this one is projected to make 8 to 12 million opening weekend, which is surprisingly high given all the circumstances, and it's tracking very well. So we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, interesting. There was more people in our theater than I expected there to be. I thought we were going to be the only ones, and we weren't.
Yeah,
I
mine
agree.
was sold out. So
Ours
Yeah.
was not sold out. I will say that about ours, but we did go on Thursday night. So I suspect that some people will come into this. But I mean, hey, listen, like the movie, first off, everything it's not available on streaming, right? So that will be good for it, I think. And second of all, for this kind of movie, it's a very capable movie. Like it was very well directed. I think it was an interesting concept, and I think everyone did a good job as far as the acting was concerned. I just found myself missing that magic of the first one, which was them being trapped in the house and the creativity of them not literally just not being able to get out of this house because this guy was owning them every single step of the way. I think this movie has it kind of pushes the boundaries of believability for what these characters can endure, and then at a certain point it kind of pushes over to the what I would call the hostile area, where it's just a gore fest, where it's just like, oh my god, we could cut away from him gouging out the man's eyes and going into his brain. Oh, I guess we're not. I'm just gonna look at Joey and Joey's gonna look down. Like we're not gonna deal with any of this stuff. But I think a very capable movie. I think if you're a fan of this type of genre, you probably enjoyed it. I'm good with one watch of this one. I don't need to go back and rewatch this though.
Joey Noel.
Yeah, this one was way more gory and violent than the first one, which I feel like the first little inkling of it is that at the very beginning of the movie, when the guy goes into the garage after like the first little scuffle, and we were like, oh, okay, this is the what was found was gory, and then the solution also equally gory. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I like this.
Why not kill the guy though? Why you take the time to glue his mouth and nose shit? Cause stab him in the done.
This
Yeah,
old-
done.
this old man has a flair for the fucking dramatic.
Yeah.
in
But
this
he
movie.
did it in the last one. You know what I mean? I feel
Cameron,
like
do you think
it
he was
came out of
bored?
nowhere for convenience.
Do you think he's
Yeah,
like, dude, I've done nothing for the past 8 years, and this is what I trained for. This is my Halloween. Let's go.
Yeah, he wanted to style on these fools for sure. I had a fun time. I definitely think I like the first one better. But I wasn't mad about it. Like, as I was thinking, like any real hole I had in like the plot for the most part, they talked about or mentioned or referenced at some point. So I felt like I liked that. Like it wasn't like a why didn't they do this or how did this happen? Some of it a little far-fetched and stuff like that. But what I like about Don't Breathe and Don't Breathe 2 is you think that you know what the twist is, and then they hit you with something totally out of left field that you're not expecting. And like even going into this, I was like, oh, I wonder what the second twist is going to be. And it's like, oh, I never in a million years would I have guessed that specific instance. So I had fun, but I don't know that I'll probably watch it again with my mom because she really liked the first one. But other than that, I don't know that I'll like it. But I think if you like Don't Breathe, I think it's worth seeing.
Cam?
I thought this movie was very, very silly. It was kind of ridiculous and messy. And if you told me that this director and writing combo were not the same duo from the first one, I would have believed you. I would have thought these guys read the synopsis and were like, okay, a home invasion movie.
Like they didn't
Must be
even
the
watch
old
it.
man that's the hero in this one. And then they wrote a
Yeah.
sequel after they just watched John Wick or something. Because this is not like the first one was all about these tense, long, suspenseful scenes. And this one's just straight up an action flick with like shot through a horror lens, with a lot of gore. But besides all that, and besides the fact that they do not really explain how they're making this awful human being the hero in this one, I had a great time because it's so ridiculous. It is so silly and goes just far enough with how messy it is that I've had so much fun the whole time.
I'm right with Cam, where it's just like that is the perfect way to describe this movie because it goes so much further than it needs to. It reminds me a lot, and I was saying this to Nick, of Rambo and Rambo 2. Where it's like the first one is like a deep dive into PTSD and all this other things, and then the second one is just like, oh, they went full action movie on it, and it just
like some like the producers were like, what was the thing that people really liked from the first one? And Sylvester Stallone was like, well, they like the nuanced performance and the deep dive into the characters, like internal struggle coming back from Vietnam. And then someone was like, shut up, they like the action. Just make an action movie,
More
blow a
guns.
helicopter out of the sky 8 times. All right, let's do it.
But where I deviate from Cam is that like I didn't enjoy it. I was like, man, that sucks that like this went from something that was so good at holding my attention and suspense, like building the suspense, to like, you know, like, hey, we're gonna be super violent and people are gonna make stupid decisions that make no sense, and like the story's also kind of just gonna be out there. Where, you know, I to me it was like, what a waste of like, I don't know, an hour and a half, you said? It felt like a lot longer.
It did.
Yeah.
It didn't feel longer to me. I thought it was a brisk hour and a half, and it is as silly as we've all already explained it. I can't believe this movie exists, and I can't believe it is what it is, because it's just like Cam was saying, like you look at the first movie, and then you look at this, you're just like, what? Where was the disconnect? And it's like you can see what aspects they looked at of the first one. They're like, we're going to double down on the kind of violence and gore aspects, which were there in the first one, like the girl falling down under her neck and all that stuff. Like there were a lot of really, really like intense moments. But this movie, it sacrificed, or not sacrificed, it replaced its like tense horror moments with rising tense action moments. And I don't think that it had the same kind of effect, but the twist definitely did, for better or worse, have the same effects of the first movie, where it's just like, this is where we're going. This is where we're going. What the fuck? But it adds up, like Joey was saying. Like, I appreciated that anytime I started asking a question like, so why would this group of people be helping this man find their daughter to bring her back to replace the heart with the mom? Like, why would this group help them? And it's like, oh, they're all meth heads, and she's the one making the meth, and they need this. It's like, that to me, I'm like, totally.
They're meth dealers.
Yeah, and then probably meth heads also.
I imagine.
There's no confirmation.
I will say,
I mean,
the way they paint meth dealers in this movie versus fucking kidnappers, murders, and rapists, I was like, okay, movie, like that's where you draw the line at going too far morally.
Well, that's because I appreciate them having that answer and it having just like multiple groups of bad guys. And I think that the movie kind of commits to that of like, I never really felt like the old man was a good guy. It was just a bad guy versus other bad guys. And because of that, I'm like, I was surprised at the explanations they had of how it all would work out. However, I was saying this when we were walking out of the theater. I think this is definitely nowhere close to as good as the first one. I really hold the first one in a special place. I still really enjoy this, but I think I would have enjoyed it and liked it a lot more had it not been a sequel, had this just been a standalone movie, because it actually makes a lot more sense. A lot of the problems we have with it, story-wise, are that we're like, what the old man that we already were kind of questioning, like, why would he be the lead in this one, is the lead in this one. It's 8 years later. He's trained this young girl to be a fucking assassin. Like, so many weird choices that we wouldn't be questioning if the movie was just like, we're introducing you to this world for the first time. So,
well, there's a lot of the stuff that this movie is like. I think when this movie is good, it's grounded in some level of reality, right? I think that a lot of the bad guys are scary, And I think when they come into the house for the first time, like it's set up as these real world sort of monsters. And that's what I liked about the movie. And that's what I found entertaining about it. But there's also a couple things that rely a little too heavily on either that's far-fetched or this is straight up the weirdest coincidence ever, i.e. does the old man just roam the streets looking for kids to pick up and take them to their house?
Third
Also,
kidnapped girl.
how did she not remember her parents? I mean, it's 8
Yeah.
years later, but you would be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
you're not my dad. Like, I had a dad.
No, she was like, she must have been like 4, right? When she got saved, or
Yeah,
I
like
don't know,
4
abducted.
though.
Huh?
Yeah.
A 4-year-old.
We see her on the street in the beginning of the movie, and it's like
She's
that girl
capable
knows
of
what her
walking.
parents look
Yeah.
like.
No,
So-
you'd be surprised. Like kids
No
forget.
way.
I know,
She
I'm
saw
telling you,
her
the next
dad
day
No,
go,
but
that
I'm-
day, goes to sleep, wakes up, and a completely different
God,
man
I
is like,
see what you're
I'm that
saying.
same dad.
I see what you're saying.
Like-
All right. That's I was thinking just jump 8 years
Like,
forward.
it would have
But
been.
you're right. You're 100%
It would have been
right.
different if he like. It would have been different.
was
if,
like a
you
toddler.
see a house on fire, right? And then the guy like breaks in, and the only person from the house he can save is this baby. And then goes, I've known these people.
Yeah.
They're terrible humans anyway. They're probably dead. I'm just going to raise this child anyway, because as we saw in the first movie, I will go to great lengths to have a daughter or a child to raise to replace the one that I lost. But this one just felt weird because the beginning of the movie kicks off and you see a child that I swear to God is at least 15 or 14 years old walking down the street. She falls down, and then
She
it goes
was, like,
8 years
5.
later, and she looks exactly the same.
Yeah, I'm with you, Nick. Like I
I
don't
was
think
like,
14 or 15, but she did look exactly the same. Where it was
Exactly
like,
the same.
and that was on purpose. They're trying to play with us, like with time of where does this fall, and like just like the first one did, you know. And I think
Right.
that this movie works best, and both movies in this franchise work best when they're kind of throwing out every little thing that's in the frame is important. And anytime there's a line of dialogue, it's important. It's gonna come back later in some way, and I appreciate that. I wish we had more movies like that, especially more horror movies that would act on that. What they choose to call back in this one is really weird shit, 99% of the time. And I think that the first like 30 minutes of this movie are so slow, where like nothing happens.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird.
Could have cut that down a little bit.
Yeah,
And also,
like,
there's.
Did
yeah.
we need that much exposition about the girl? Like, we get it. The girl, he doesn't let her go anywhere. Like, I feel like
it.
It doesn't let it go
It's
anywhere,
like,
but then also
okay.
we get to a point where you see, and I understand why they did it, but there are some choices made in here to screw with the audience that don't service the plot. If this guy's whole purpose was to kidnap this girl, was to take her out of her surroundings, why would he not have done that in the bathroom? Why would he not have done that when she walks into the house and lays down
Yeah.
flowers, and he clearly, like, she's in the fucking house to grab her?
Well, at that
and
point, he
go.
was like in the basement.
yeah,
Or-
and she ran out.
What was he
before.
doing in that house, though? Like, was he?
This guy could've
I've
literally-
just gotten out of jail. I'm looking for my daughter. Let me see if I can go find some sort of trace of this missing girl. Like, if your daughter, like, if you've gone in jail and your daughter disappeared 8
I don't
years
think she
ago,
went- I don't think he went to jail though, did he?
he did.
did.
He went to
Oh, he did
jail
go
for
to
8
jail.
years. Yeah. Like,
got
I have a
blamed for
feeling
all
you're
that.
probably not going to be able to find your daughter. Also, does a child's heart work in place of an adult's
No.
heart?
I don't
Oh my
think so.
god.
No.
Right?
I
Science.
reached out to. I
Science.
tried to. I read so many fucking things online trying to find out. For one, there is nothing for that I could find of needing your heart replaced from a relative specifically. I think they thought of like when people get their kidneys replaced and it's similar blood types, and usually
Mhm.
movies, it's family members because of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or bone marrow or something like that. You need.
Yeah,
But
it does
isn't
not
a
need
heart-
to be a family member, and a child's heart is way smaller than
Too small.
an
Not
adult's
strong
heart.
enough.
My heart's huge.
Cam, her insides were burned from the meth explosion, okay? Her organs were burning.
I
what's
know
amazing
They
is I was
replaced
like,
all of them up
fumes
until that
are
point,
really,
except
really
for that
bad.
heart.
Yeah, but that would fuck up your lungs, and I guess it would
Yeah.
probably fuck up your
Yeah.
heart too. But I'd be like this. So we've got the heart. What are we doing about the lung situation? Like, you can't.
Yeah.
You probably have like 1% lung capacity because you just inhaled like toxic fumes from this meth thing. But going back to my earlier point, right? So the coincidences and some of those things in the beginning of this movie are fine. Whatever. If this is movie, this is what it is. But everything kind of works for me, or I could just kind of forgive it until we get to the point where they're like, we're going to do the open heart surgery right now, right here in this abandoned meth lab / hotel with this dude who looks like a pedo who's
They
clearly
set
on
him
the
up
payroll.
earlier, you know?
But I'm like, I don't like if I were the mom in this situation, I'd be like this. I love this plan, honey. I'm not trying to backseat drive here, but is there a hospital we could go and do this? Is there a way we could go
No,
someplace?
you're organ harvesting.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
just,
but you
I'm
go
like, I
to
don't think
like a
this is
third
gonna
world
work.
country, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It was just, but they also set him up as being an organ harvester, and I was like, has this guy been looking for hearts for a long time? Like, what was with that news thing at the beginning?
Yeah, that was
just
weird.
it was just to like introduce the fact that like the surgeon, because it wasn't that the surgeon.
Oh, okay. I thought.
Yeah,
it was
so it was to
the
introduce the
dad.
surgeon, so that like
Okay.
when they bring up the ridiculous plot point of like we're now gonna remove this girl's heart, no one has to be like, but these meth dealers don't have the proper training, you know?
Yeah, I guess that's true. But
I
I
was
just feel like
dying
I don't
when
know
she
if-
rolled up in the wheelchair and was in the shadows singing. I was like, holy crap, this movie's going there. Like, I would have lost any bet. I don't care how much money it was. I don't care how specific or vague it was. I would have never, ever bet on the fact that this movie's plot would end this way.
Yeah, I don't think I could have either. I love, first off, I think, if you have a twist in a movie that surprises me, I'm impressed, because I've seen a lot of movies and twists can come off more often than not very cheesy, right? The twist of him being the dad, I was like, oh, okay, I did actually not see that coming.
Really?
I know it's silly, but
feel
I
like
thought
that one was telegraphed.
they threw out the organ harvest thing. I thought these guys were just grabbing her to harvest some organs and sell some, and I thought they were just generic bad guys. So when he said, I'm your dad, I was like, oh, that's actually kind of an interesting concept. So now we've got a moral conundrum, right? Does she go with him, or does she go with the father that she's known? She's very betrayed. I thought we were going to go to the hotel and it was going to switch, and they were going to actually be good parents, and then they were going to have to try to kill the old man, because after all, this guy
That
is
would
a
have
bad
been
guy.
much better.
It would have been interesting, and it would have been a hard narrative thing to do, because you would have had to have the audience automatically. You have to have the audience switch over and go, okay, these guys are the sympathetic characters now, even though a part of me was like, you're not going to be able to do that, because one of the guys killed the only good person in this with a hammer at the beginning of it.
Right.
So I was
Right.
like, all these people have to go. They all have to die now. That's kind of.
But
where we're
my
gonna go with that.
problem with that still is like when they're like, oh, he's the dad. It's like, then why were they being so rough with this girl? Like, they hit her in the head, knocked her down the stairs, almost drowned her, almost electrocuted her. And it's like, they need this heart, right? Like,
Yeah, but
if
kids
she can't even be put under for surgery,
bounce
then
back.
you can't electrocute her.
Yeah,
that's
that's
also
also
like-
good point.
5-6 times.
Like,
You're not.
And
gonna
then
get
also
that fine.
later on, when the old man goes to save her, the old man does not know what their plans are for taking her heart.
Yes.
So this badass suit up scene he has, he thinks he's the good guy in it, but all he's doing is going back to re-kidnap the girl from her parents.
Yep.
That's all his side of this is. So it's like he's going in there as if he's the hero, but he has none of this information we know that has made us turn on the parents again.
Right.
It's
He's
also
just going in
You
there.
can't get tried for it twice, though.
Right.
I mean, it would be two separate incidents, but okay, sure.
But
No,
it's
but like
also-
Cam, that's such a like that's something that I got home and I was like, I don't understand. His plan was like, all right, I know that my abducted daughter has been abducted by her real parents.
Right.
I'm gonna use the dog.
Is
to
it kidnapping if they take the daughter back?
That's why I said
No,
abducted,
right?
Joey.
So
I
No,
don't
I
know,
know, but I
don't
was
know.
just
I don't know.
that was going to be the
wondering.
other thing that I was going to say. I was going to go like this. The dad, I guess you didn't want people to know you found your daughter because you were about to harvest her heart, but there is actually a legal way of going about
Fucking
this.
movie.
There is like if
But
someone
none of these are good conversations that we're having. You know
No,
what
I
I mean?
know.
Like this is
I know.
this is like the well of conversations that are all spoiled and bad. Like,
But you
we're-
have to imagine though, they're all sitting around, right? And the guy's like, "Here's the plan. All right, I'm gonna stalk my daughter for 5 or 6 days. I'm gonna pass up all these really easy opportunities I have to just scoop her up, like, and then take her away with me. We're gonna go into this old man's house at night, and all 5 of us are just gonna terrorize this family for a while." And you have to imagine that the guy that was like, "I'm the cool meth guy." Remember Joey, the guy both are like,
Mhm,
that guy's
at
got
the
a
end.
great beard.
Yeah,
She's
and that
probably
guy
like
was real
this.
hot.
You do know that it's your daughter legally, right? And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "You could just go literally to the cops and be like, this guy's got my daughter. I have a picture of her from when she was young. That's my daughter. We could get her back in
but
like day, maybe 2, legally. Like the cops come up and go, give me the kid back. What the fuck?
They
are you
didn't
doing?"
have that kind of time though. The mom needed the heart that day, apparently.
also you have to assume that like legally that kid is probably dead because after like 7 years if you're missing they'll mark you as dead. So like if they kill her and get rid of the body, nobody knows.
That's fair.
If they bring her back legally, then she's in the system, you know?
Yeah,
like
she's in the
you're gonna have
system,
schools
fingerprints and all.
knocking.
You're not
and
harvesting
being like,
that
hey,
heart.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think that they were looking specifically for the daughter. I think they had been harvesting hearts to try and find one for the mom. And
That's
then
what I
he
got
ran
out of that.
into the daughter at the house, realized who she was, and that's why he followed her. And then that's why they ended up back followed her to the bathroom and ended up back.
Interesting.
I think-
Okay, that makes
Interesting.
more sense.
I
That makes
think
more
if
sense.
I may
got
add
those scenes
one
mixed
more,
up.
if I may add one more thing, I think that he went to the house at an earlier point, saw the flowers, told the wife about the flowers, and they were both like, "Our kid still alive.
Interesting.
I'll go and hang out at the house every Monday at 2:00."
Do you think the mom was like? Do you think she remembers us? And the dad's like, well, for sure she has
In
no
8
memory
years.
of me. For sure she has no memory of me because she just forgot. Maybe it was a traumatic experience. Like we can.
You can remember enough lyrics of this song, but what her father looks like, whether or not her father was blind.
No.
How young do you think a child has to be to not like? Can you kidnap and like bring into your family a 2-year-old?
Yeah,
Is that too? What about a 3-year-old?
I think it's pushing it, but yeah.
4?
I don't think at 3. I don't
No,
think at
4. I think no.
I think
You're
once
in
you
preschool at
start
3.
being able to talk, then you have like different.
Yeah, once you can start
memories.
asking questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's so they should have gone younger with the kid.
Maybe like the
Yeah.
kid, maybe, but I don't know. Either way, I mean, people also get stabbed in the kidneys, and there's a lot and still live. So now we're in the Michael Myers world where the blind man just cannot be killed no matter
Cannot.
what, and I'm all for it.
His name
I
is
also think it's weird that
Norman Nordstrom.
No.
Okay, I was like, do we-
Awesome.
I think it's weird that he never gets like a real name in the movie. Like that's
Well, in the
used.
credits, it says the blind man.
Yeah, I don't know. In the
I don't
Wikipedia,
like that.
Well, now in
feel like he should have
Wikipedia
a
it says
name.
Norman, all like quote unquote the blind man.
there we go.
Norman,
Norman.
Norman.
Let's get to the plot.
Please tell us the story. Hey, tell us the story. It's gory. We love it. Don't Breathe 2. What did we learn from last week, Joey? Don't you fucking
Breathe.
dare breathe. If you
I'm
breathe,
sorry to immediately cut you off here,
Die.
but I have to. The amount of times that this movie never once says "Don't breathe," but why does it say "breathe" 5,000 times? Breathe. It's just non-fucking stop. Multiple different characters say it to other characters.
Yeah.
It's so weird. But
does
there's
make sense.
one moment though where it's the suit up scene. He gets to the place. They're about to do open heart surgery to harvest this young girl's heart for her meth mother, and then the lights go off. And I looked over at Kev. I'm like, lights off.
Yep. Lights fucking out.
I didn't
motherfuckers.
understand it when he said it, and like,
Yeah,
it-
lights out. Lights out.
yeah, he said lights out, and I sat there and I was like, what is he saying? And he was like, no, never mind. And I thought about it. I was like, lights out, and I laughed so hard.
Sorry, Nick. Go back to it.
Everyone should know, by the way, we saw this movie last night, so I'm doing this plot from the dome, a la Greg Miller style. Tim's gonna help me. Joe's gonna help me. Kevin, you sit
I
idly
got the
by.
Wikipedia open.
You sit idly by. I have it open as well. We start 8 years before the events of this movie when a 17-year-old girl walks out of her house that's burning, that's on fire, and collapses.
Not that
in the street.
old.
She is a college-aged
For
person
sure, she's for
with an
sure
entire
6,
life.
right?
She
Like,
was
yeah, that was a
probably- I
6-year-old.
imagine they want her to be like 3.
But they should have gotten a 3-year-old.
They got
They got
you know who
a
they got?
9-year-old.
got
And they
the
were like,
stunt
she'll
double.
look 6.
They got the stunt double
They
who
did.
doubled for Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. It was.
Oh, I
it
thought
was
you were
like a
going to say they got
55-year-old.
her stunt double.
Probably,
Because I would
actually.
believe that. I would believe
believe
that
that
they were
too.
like, could we get a 6-year-old? And they're like, no. But she's
I'm
got
gonna
a
be
stunt
honest with you
double.
guys. I would have believed if it was just her, and they didn't even change a single thing about her because it looked exactly like
It
her.
looked exactly like her. It was a poor choice, but she's got a white streak in her hair, and that's going to come out later. It's going to be a thing we're going to talk about a little bit later. Then we cut to 8 years later, and this girl, who, I mean, great genes, hasn't aged today, is stumbling around the forest in a survival way, and she's running away from this Rottweiler, which is the dog from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Apparently, it survived being stuck in the car. He went back and got it, and she hops over the fence and she sees a gun. She's like, "I'm going to get the gun first," but guess what? Norm Normanson is right behind her, and he scoops her up and he's like, "You failed." And is it me, or is he like playing this character way more Southern and old in this than he was?
I mean,
in the
he's
first
way
one?
he is
older.
much
8 years
older.
older.
He's much older.
They're not from the South, right?
He could be older than 8 years.
Because we don't know.
Older,
This is
right?
8 years
You're
after
right.
the.
So
it could be
real quick before we
30
move on,
years
I
after.
want to just for a second, let's talk about Shadow, because we
The
can
dog.
agree that Shadow in the first movie, right? It's the same dog, right?
I imagine so.
You imagine?
I mean, I feel like
It
it's
could
like
not be.
Unless he's Shadow the second, but they never make that clear.
That's what I always
But I'm
want
just saying,
people to do.
age-wise, a
God,
dog
dude.
of that size usually lives about
Dude.
12 years, if is good. But I don't know that the math works out, because Shadow in the first movie didn't seem like he was a puppy.
Yeah.
Just something
Well,
to think
Shadow
about.
in this one is useless. I'll throw that out there. I don't want to throw shade at Shadow.
That's not his fault. It's
He
like
doesn't
he got
have-
shot by a gun. Like
It
He
is
doesn't have that much opportunity for
fault.
character growth in the 15 minutes
and
he's
he
in
like
this movie.
they shoot the
No.
tree near him, and he's
And
like,
Shadow-
"Oh fuck, I'm fucked. I'm
No,
fucked.
Shadow
There's nothing I can
sees
do."
it and goes, "That's interesting. What's going on there?" And then he's dead. We don't even see him die. This poor character, just this useless mutt. Anyway, we cut over, and it turns out this is survival training, and she failed. She got the gun, but she didn't get that. She wasn't able to utilize
She
the
couldn't
gun
keep
to
it.
survive.
She lost it.
Couldn't keep it.
Mhm.
You lost the
He took
gun,
it
so
from
you
her.
failed this class. What does that mean? Well, I'm homeschooled. This kid, nobody knows that. The only person that her friend is this ex-Army Ranger who's carried. I forget her name, but it's in here somewhere. Joey, if you could look,
Flower
Hernandez.
pickup lady.
Hernandez is a
Hernandez?
flower pickup lady.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, Norm Normanson grows ferns and whatnot, house plants, and she goes and delivers them for him. That's his source of income. And she is friends with Phoenix, the little girl. And she's like, "Hey, you want me to take her into town today?" And he's like,
Field
"No,
trip.
she failed survival. Her survival training. She's not allowed to go into town." This is the point. If I were Hernandez, I'd be like, "It's time to get child services involved in this child's life." I don't know if survival training. I don't know. I don't know if that's something we want to put the kid through of her age. Maybe. I don't have kids. So anyone who has kids, feel free to chime in. Do you want your child to be perfectly prepared for the post-apocalyptic war zone that's going to be everything after
We have to remember,
COVID or not?
This girl, while she looks like she was 8, she's probably like 12 or 16.
Also,
She's not 16.
why is she being trained for survival
you.
training when it's like he's the only thing that has ever been a threat besides a moving vehicle? So like
don't know.
maybe treat her how to look both ways while crossing the road or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
Because like
This
that's
is-
the only threat that's happened so
this is a
far.
big problem
to
I have
any
when I
kids,
go
right?
to the UK, right? Is that you don't know which way to look when you cross the street. You have to train in that.
The
I
fact
was
that
like
Nick
this
said
way.
that seriously, like with his fucking pen, waving it.
Double bus, right? Double decker bus. You guys see, you guys
Spice
drive the
Girls.
right way in Canada and Nova Scotia, and you guys don't fuck around. No, that's a perfectly good point. I don't know why this guy's training her, but hey,
It's
as
cool
we'll see,
though.
we'll see in about 15 minutes, Cam, we're about to eat our words because
You-
apparently
I was like,
she needs all this.
do you think that he's worried that the girl from the first movie is going to come back
No.
or something like that?
No.
But
I do
no,
think
'cause
there's a chance he
surfing.
knows the dad might come back.
That's a possibility. But
That's
even
interesting.
so, it's like anyway, it doesn't matter. We're
But
gonna
he
keep
d-
going, right? Hernandez says, "Listen, if you put that, if you keep that
Hold
leash
on.
on her,
I need
too
to
tight-
stop you here. Like, even if he knew the dad's coming back, I guarantee you there's not a fucking chance in hell he knew the dad was gonna come back and harvest her heart for her
Yeah.
for her mom.
You never know. This guy's been around the block a couple times, Tim. He's got more life experience than we do, so that's important. It's important to keep right at the top, right at the tip of your tongue. Hernandez is like, listen, if you keep that leash on so tight, she's eventually gonna like bust out of it. It's a good analogy there. I
bite
just
through it,
She's gonna bite through it, right?
which I
Middleman
thought was
realizes-
an interesting choice of words.
Right. Well, there's a lot of dogs in this, so it makes sense to me, right? A lot of leashed animals that once they become your friend, you snuggle to them and you go, "Why are we doing any of this? Why don't we just go to a Starbucks, hang out, read a magazine?"
That dog would do exactly that because that's how this blind man works. Anything he says to these dogs, they're like,
Dog.
"Okay, sir, I'll bring you
Whisperer.
there. I'll do exactly what you're asking me."
Love it.
The
love
first thing I want to do when I get off a leash, a magazine and a Starbucks as a dog.
it. Dogs like this. You know what? I like coffee. So he goes, "You know what? You're right." He says, "You can go into town, but you got to be back by 8." They go into town, and Hernandez says, "Do you want to stop by and say hello to your mom?" And Phoenix is like, "Well, my dad doesn't like when I do that." And she goes, "Well, I won't tell if you don't tell." So they go over to the house where she puts some flowers down, and then she hears a spooky noise, and she's like, oh, and then leaves, and then we don't see who's there until Act 3. Then we go over to town, and she sees some kids that are playing on a swing set, and they're all from this center for kids who don't have parents, don't have a place to go. It's like what is it? Not a youth center. Look, I don't know what the word for it is, but it's a place that looks very idyllic. Orphanage, thank you. That's the word.
But it doesn't look very idyllic, and she definitely is fantasizing the shit out of this place.
Well, I mean, also she
Like,
lives in a prison of hell, so any place is better for her than this old man's house.
He's training her to be a killing machine and not get kidnapped, like so many women he's seen in the past get kidnapped.
He's kidnapped all those women.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, I guess he would be the best person to train her for that.
He has a point. Yeah.
I guess. Anyway, she sees that, and we have this lovely fantasy where she's like, hey, I'll tell these kids how to make this fucking merry-go-round fly them off with the use of this powered scooter. And
for how brutal this movie is, I can't believe that didn't come back in some fucked up way.
Well, they also, they have a way of showing things. They do that thing from that's one of the things I liked in the first one stylistically, where like they showed the hammer, they show the box in this one when she goes down to the grocery store.
So less artful though. Less artful.
Yeah, it's a little
like
heavy.
This one is kind of like there's like I think it pans down and just gets on not tight, but like definitely fills the frame with the box, right? Yeah,
too long.
Where it's like, oh,
if you rewatch
I guess that's
gonna
be useful.
No, but see,
thing too.
I think that it does it in a different. Yeah, it does exactly the same in the first one. I think that this movie is just different because because I think this one's playing with our expectations that we already know from the first. So it's like I think they lingered on that to make us think that like he might be capturing another girl and putting her in that box or some shit. Like
that's what's in the box kind of thing.
What I thought was going to happen was, I'm like, wow, this guy has like all these cool. I thought it was even like a secret passage, right? Where I thought in my brain, I was like, she goes in, latches the door, the guy opens it up, she's not there, and looks down, and there's like a thing that goes over to the yard, and then all of a sudden, what I thought this movie was going to be about was I thought they were going to kill the old man, and she was going to have to figure out how to get out of this house away from these guys, which I thought was the coolest scene, which we're going to get to in a hot second. But of course, she's fantasizing about having real friends. It's just a fantasy. As we see, it cuts back, and it's very heartbreaking because the other kids are like, we're going to go, and none of them look at her, and she's like, oh, this is a bummer. She goes, I got to hit the head before we get on the road for our long trip right back up the hill. So Hernandez is like, okay, watch out for creeps in there. She's like, don't worry, my dad is a little off his rocker and has trained me to knife people right in the fucking gut. Also, I have this Rottweiler with me at all times. It's kind of weird. Anyway, she goes in, and when she looks over in the mirror, she's washing her hands. Who do we see? Donnie Wahlberg. That's right. A guy that looks like him just hanging out there, and he's like, you're really pretty. And she's like, I'm not fucking scared of you. And he's like, you should be. And she's like, no, I have the Ferris Bueller's Day off, dog, and that thing could bite nuts off.
Was that a Wahlberg?
No.
That's
but
weird,
he looks
right?
like Donnie Wahlberg, right?
Yeah.
It also wasn't the guy that got his tongue pierced in Rat Race, who I definitely
God.
thought it was for the entire movie.
Holy
but
shit,
but it was not that.
The thug skateboard kid from Empire Records, right, Joe? Did we figure that out?
It is. We did figure it out.
So he'll be known as either Donnie Wahlberg or Empire Records from now on.
Brendan Sexton III.
That's right. Brendan Sexton II, though. Not in movies. So she's like, don't touch me right now. I got this dog. And he's like, all right, which I guess you could explain why he didn't scoop her up at that point, because the dog would have just murdered him. So I guess that kind of makes sense. Either way, follows them home. Hernandez sees them and is like, I don't like this.
You don't think at that point he could have been like, hey, I don't know what your deal is, but I think you're my daughter. Takes the thing and be like, see the white thing?
Absolutely. No, because the daughter knows that's not how hair color works from parents, where you have a very specific one streak of gray that's in the same spot.
But I'd be like, as a kid, I mean, I'm dumb as a human being, as an adult, right? But as a kid, I'd be like this. You have rogue hair. I have rogue hair. Clearly related somehow, right? Like, there's not a lot of people. Greg Miller is the only person in my life, literally in my sphere, that has a little white mark.
I'm getting one right here, which you can't tell because of the camera right now. It's kind of, I'm trying to figure out how I can get that to grow, but none of the other gray hairs I have all over.
Sure. I think I'll come over with some like gray spray paint and just get that done.
Yeah, gray spray thing, Nick. Great. So useful.
Super easy, super peasy.
But also, if he would have tried to, or if he would have said anything like, oh, I'm your dad to her then I feel like she would have asked questions when she got home, and then the blind man would have been like, we're out. Like, your dad's a lot. Like,
yeah, that's true. I mean, we wouldn't have had a movie, and that's the answer to a lot of these questions. So she goes back home. They drop her off, I think, right? Yeah, she goes home. Everyone's restocking stuff. Hernandez goes back on the way. She's going on the way home. I'm not sure where this house is, but the one road in and out is blocked by a really cool Dodge Ram truck.
You
And
think
she's
that
not
Detroit would
stupid.
have more roads, right?
Well, this guy's purposely living out in the sticks because I don't think he wants too many people asking questions about where he got this kid.
Yeah, that's why they homeschool her, and she's all mad about it too.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, she's had an argument here at this point with her dad because she's seen those kids at the orphan, and she's like, "I want to go to school next year. I want to go. I want to have friends." And the dad's like, "You don't need friends. You've got me." And she's like, "You're not enough. I'm lonely." And he's like, "You don't know what lonely is."
His Bane impression is great.
Yes, yes. And the kid's like, "I hate you. I'm going into my room." Then Hernandez approaches this car very smartly, by the way, because she is an ex-Army Ranger, as we have established. She pulls out a dope-ass Beretta and kind of comes at him, and they're like trying to intimidate her. She's not backing down. And when she gets back, she's like, "Can you please move your car?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'll move my car." And she's like, "I don't trust these guys." And of course, she is proven right when she goes back to write down their license plates, and the dude with the cool mullet does that cool, like the Chucky thing where he's like, and he puts the thing like a strap around her neck.
Mullet.
Oh, that guy, Joey, if I had that
Evan
hair and that
or-
mullet.
Nick was talking about that haircut the entire time we walked out of that
I
movie.
fucking hate this guy, but
That
his
was
hair's so cool.
that was a nasty mullet, Nick.
That
You can
dude's
do
hair
better. Like, have
is-
better heroes, Nick. You have to.
I gotta be honest, Nick. Like I'm with Kev. Like that hair was nasty.
Nasty.
I love it.
Not the cool nasty.
Yes.
Like the fucking vulgar nasty.
I love it. I love it. I would do it in a heartbeat if I had it.
Let us bleach your hair, Nick.
Okay, it'll fall out and it'll never come back, and then you'll have Danielle to contest with. She would be like,
I don't think I want
I
that.
would love it actually, because I wanted to shave my head for 5 years. My wife's like, just one more year, please. Just one more year before you turn into your dad.
Nick, you have nice hair. It
It's
looks
going.
cool.
It's going. It's thinning.
It's
And
not.
every once in a while, it
Like
writes me
you're
a letter
fighting
saying-
it with science, and we're like, it's
It
working.
writes me a letter every once in a while that says, "Please put me down. Please take me to the vet." You know what I mean? Anyway,
I
so
don't.
Hernandez is unfortunately dispatched with prejudice. He hits her with a hammer, and it is very fucking violent. And then they just apparently leave her truck there and drive back up the road. Step 1, kill Shadow. And then when the old man goes out to look for Shadow, step 2, enter the house by every exit and send 4 people. And this is where I think this movie starts to get very interesting for me, because the kid then has to use her survival training to outwit and sneak around these people, which includes her sneaking under the thing. And when the guy lifts up the bed, which, by the way, you look under the bed first before you lift it up. Otherwise, Joe, what do? Right? The Achilles tendons.
I feel like
Also, the way this
lifting
got a
up the
deep end,
mattress
Nick.
is fine though.
Yeah, but he stood there for a while, and I'm like, if she's got a knife, she's gonna stab into your shin or something, right? Doesn't matter anyway. He lifts it up, she's gone. She hides under the thing, throws the watch, the alarm clock goes off.
I
and then
liked
she makes it
that.
over. I
Yeah,
love
that's cool.
all this stuff.
The
I
watch
think
was the
I'm
coolest
saying
part, but she is moving impossibly fast and quietly.
she is.
You don't understand, Cam. She's been training for this for years.
I mean,
this
it
is
was a
her.
cool sequence, but like, there's a lot of cool sequences in this that are like, okay.
You know,
all right.
one thing I liked about her training that kept coming back, and this was also like backed up with really dope use of camera, is the amount of times we got a straight up top down shot and we would see her drop, and like the way that she would like quiet land on things. Like we see her in the very beginning running away from the dog, and she jumps up the fence, and I've never seen that camera shot used where it's like you literally just kind of see the top of her head land down, and it's like a perfect thing, and it's
cool.
perfectly silent. And then she does it again here, and then later one more time. It's cool.
Another thing that we just like went by was when he's coming up the stairs, he flicks on the light while he's looking for her.
Lights out.
And that's what makes makes the little girl clue into like, why would the blind man be turning on
why
the
would
light
my
right
dad
now?
just
I thought
Yeah,
that was
But I
neat.
feel like she didn't pick that up as fast
Not
as
fast
like
enough,
she
no.
should have.
No.
Like there was definitely a moment of like, wait, the lights got turned.
But I think
it
it was
was
for the
just-
audience a little
Yeah, it
bit.
was definitely
Yeah.
that's right. I think the actress did a good job. She was like, that's interesting. And then when she heard the footstep and looked over and saw the boot, she was like, oh shit. Anyway, love the scene where she's hanging off the thing, like doing like that, you know, like where'd she go? She
Stair
thing drops
banister
down, sneaks all around, right? And then finally spots the back door open, heads for it, and of course a shot rings out, and it's the guy with it. We can all agree the coolest mullet on the planet has fired a warning shot, does not want her to go. He goes to lock the door, and whose hands come through it? That's right, Norm McDonald. Just now. Here's what I'm going to say on this one. There's multiple times this guy should have been killing these people, but he's not.
Right
Instead,
there,
he
for
gets
sure.
stabbed in the arm by a hammer, lets go, and then disappears. At this point, I think she heads down now into the to the red box.
Yeah,
I think
he
that's
yells
next,
at her
right?
to get
Go
in
to
the box.
and she's like, I would have been like, hey, go to the instead of going right to the box, go left.
Yeah, and then we could just
Yeah,
both
and then
leave.
go up the ladder and then go into the atrium, like the what do they call those things? The atrium, greenhouse, and then just leave. Anyway, she goes to the box.
We do need to remember that this man is blind, and I know that movie doesn't follow the logic I just said, but like there are a lot of things that I can very, very easily write off as like he doesn't exactly know what's going on in this situation.
Right.
Also, though, the fact that he's blind, not really that important in this movie. Does not seem to hold him back much.
Doesn't feel like it holds him back at all. And in fact, at a certain point, I actually, as an audience member, forgot that was something that this character, that was a character trait of this character, and that's not necessarily a good thing. I think that
no, that's not a
cat and
necessarily
mouse
good
game
thing.
in the first one was so interesting because of his disability, because of the fact that he couldn't see. That gave the bad guys, or I guess the good guys in the first one, I don't think there are any good guys.
No, there were no good guys.
An advantage over him, and that he had an advantage over them, and that was what made a cool dynamic. In this one, everyone's just, I mean, he's Mike Myers. He cannot be killed. It doesn't matter. We're going forward. She, of course, goes into the box, and then they send down.
Sorry. No, I just wanted to say one more thing. I thought it was interesting that Mullet Man had a weapon of choice, and it was the back of the hammer.
Yeah.
Not the front of the hammer.
It's such a cool
He was
thing
going.
for Mullet Man.
He likes the party in the back.
That's perfect for Mullet Man. Good for you, Mullet Man.
We can all agree Mullet Man, coolest character in this whole thing, right?
I'm going to say Mullet Man's hair is proof that this is, in fact, a horror movie. So,
all right. Well, you know what, Tim? Be careful what you wish for, because if I ever get thicker hair, you're going to be surrounded by that.
Thank God that'll never happen.
She goes down to the box, and big dude comes down, and he's like, "Oh, come out of the box! If you don't come out of the box, I'm gonna fill this box with water." Now, here's the interesting aspect of this. He starts filling it with water, right? And I think initially he's like, "I'm going to electrocute her to death," but then the other possibility is like, or drown her until she opens this door. But what he's not thinking of is if she can't figure out how to open the door, she'll just drown for good. And everything we cannot open this door. So the stalemate is not necessarily a stalemate so much as like, your plan's just not going to work here, buddy. If I were your boss, I'd be like, you got to rethink this. Stop with the water and let's maybe like bang the thing a couple times until she comes out. And then I'm proven wrong, of course, when all they have to do is tip it over and the fucking guy just opens the door somehow. I have no idea.
Well, he like rips it with like
strong
super
arms
old man
it
strength.
open.
Yeah.
I think that's why this movie doesn't have tension. We know every person wants this girl alive.
Yeah.
So her in danger doesn't really add up to anything. And then we hate everyone else in this movie.
Correct.
So we don't care if they're in danger either. It's more just, it's very much exploiting. We don't want to see human beings getting injured.
That's the thing. It's like, yeah, the whole tension is we don't want to see the back of that hammer go anywhere.
Yeah, right.
But it's flying around left and right, every single which way.
So this guy starts to do this plan. Meanwhile, out in the garage, fucking the dude with the frosted hair goes out there and he gets his mouth and nose glued shut.
Which like is, why would he glue their face?
I don't know.
Also, it was graphic.
He wasn't struggling too, right? Because he gets hidden in the garage at some point. Mm-hmm. Then the mullet man comes in. Who it doesn't matter. The mullet man comes in.
Cool mullet.
Are they brothers?
Yeah,
they're
brothers.
Yeah, okay.
It's like
mullet man. Yeah, mullet man comes in, and then the other guy's just chilling until it's convenient for him not to be chilling, right?
Right. So it's
ridiculous. Also, then fucking mullet man decides, oh, I gotta cut his mouth open because he can't breathe. I'll go in through the fucking cheek. Why?
Instead of the
Why
glue.
not just cut the glue?
Because all he had was a screwdriver.
You can cut. I mean,
I don't think he had that much time.
All right, I feel like it would have been easier to pierce through a mound of glue than. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Either way, the guy survives, and he's like, "I'm really mad, even though I had to cut my lips open. I'm kind of just, I'm like a little peeved right now. This guy, it doesn't seem like he's that traumatized by.
He didn't have that
event.
vibe. He was
He's
just like,
this is just not cool.
Fuck you.
I'm gonna go give this guy a stern fucking talking to right now. Go get your fucking manager. Anyway, so the kid's in the thing, and then Buff guy's like, I'm gonna fucking take this light out, right? The old man's down there, and he's like, oh, the old man's here, so I'm gonna stop drowning her, right? I'm gonna take this light out, and put a little exposed wire there, and as the water rises, if you don't fucking come out of the thing, man, the kid's gonna die. This prompts a fight, very violent fight. Old guy kind of gets his ass. Oh, actually, old guy does a smart thing where he goes, "I'm gonna throw this canister of gas into the environment and fill it up so that
that was another thing they had lingered on when they had first come down the stairs. The canisters, yeah.
And so that's going to fill the entire environment with smoke, and as such, or with gas rather, inert gas, and as such, if not inert gas, flammable gas, as such, if someone fires a gun, it's going to blow up everything, right? And the guy immediately gets this. He's like, "Oh, smart man, no gunfire, huh?"
Is that how that works, though? I don't know if that's how that works.
I would feel that way. Whether or not it works, it would trick me.
I think it would work.
It's one of those things where I think if the entire room had filled with that much gas, everyone might asphyxiate, but it doesn't matter.
Yes. Also, you need it to have oxygen in there too. Like the mixture has to be right. If there's too much gas, then it won't.
There's not enough oxygen for the combustion, right?
Yeah, that's exactly
right.
Well,
either way, I know when I'm about to get into a fight with someone twice my size, I want the room full of fucking helium. Let's have fun. You know what I mean? Let's shout at each other high pitch. Anyway, they fight. And then this guy figures out my last ditch effort is I'm gonna pull a table over and cause a flame reaction. The whole thing's gonna explode. And then he's like, he wakes up and the guy's cooked. And then he's like, I gotta get my daughter out of this thing, tips over the box, and then just casually opens the door and she falls out. And then he's like,
it's not casual.
He's like, and then she breathes and he's like, all right, cool, we got to get out of here. And she's like, this is horrible. Now at this point, I was like, I'm disappointed with this film because I know we'd have to leave ourselves a world for a sequel, but I thought it would have been so cool if he had been taken out of the equation and it was just her journey now. Like it was just all about her, which we've seen this before and it can work in a very, very good video game. You know what I mean? It's like, just this is what it's about. That would have, to me, that would have been a really cool twist. And then another twist of I'm your dad. She's like, well, I don't give a fuck because I already killed 3 of your dudes, dude. And now it's me and you. We're fighting.
Then the twist of the heart harvesting, Nick. Don't let that go. We can't let that plot point go.
Fucking let it go. Anyway, they go up to the atrium and they're tracked down by the guys who track them down very easily. They grab the daughter. He's like, I'm going to tell you who I really am. Look at my cool rogue streak. You got a cool rogue streak. We are related. I'm your papa. I'm papa. Come to papa. And then the old man's like, no, I don't want her to know that I've spent my nights kidnapping young girls. And so he gets knocked the fuck out, right? And then he goes ape shit. And then they kidnap the girl and he ends up killing, I think he like hits one of the dudes with the claw thing. They're like, take her to the car. They go off in the car. This dude goes there. Then he goes back down into the house. And then I think he goes upstairs and she gets free somehow, but then she gets scooped up by the sexy
shovels that dude in the
guy.
face first, right?
Yeah, he shovels the guy.
And then
like, don't shovel him in the face.
Yeah, absurdly
like,
graphic.
Mash, right?
And so they don't kill the blind man in front of her when they fully have him caught, gun to his head.
Right.
And he's like, whoa, wait a second.
Not in front of my kid.
Yeah, I don't want to fuck her up for life. Which
we need her
in
heart
his
to be
mind
good for later.
But like, you know what I'm saying? Like in his mind, he's like, shit. Like these next day and a half, like it's not gonna go bad. Like I won't be a bad father, you know.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
a good point actually, because you're absolutely making a great point, right? That's again more for the audience than it is for the actual service of the plot or the character development. This guy would not give a fuck about this kid. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Just keep going with the plot.
He would not care about these children, this kid at all in reality, because he only cares about his wife and more importantly, his meth business. So you're right, Kevin. They would ice the old man right there and be like this. Why even bother telling her that you're
that's
her
the thing.
father?
Like the
you're going
world,
to kill her that night anyway. It doesn't matter.
It's so lame when a movie can't decide whether or not like how the characters act and why they act the way they do.
Well, I think
Cecil's not a fan. Cecil's not a fan at all.
But
before we continue on with the plot, let me tell you about our sponsors.
This show is brought to you by MeUndies. You know how when you're in a nerve-wracking situation and people say, imagine everyone in their underwear to make yourself feel comfortable. As if imagining a room full of strangers down to their skivvies is what makes us feel comfy. MeUndies believes comfort does not start with imagining, but instead it starts with actual comfort. MeUndies designs limited edition prints all the time so you can express yourself every single day. Building your undie collection and picking out which lucky pair gets to meet your butt for the day has never been so fun. Choose prints with corgis, chicken nuggets, outfits, your zodiac sign, goofy puns, and more. MeUndies also releases collabs with some pretty big names like the Rolling Stones and Space Jam: A New Legacy, but you have to grab them fast because once they're gone for good. Kinda Funny loves MeUndies. You've heard the boys talk about them for years. They're comfort with good designs that make your friends jealous. To get 15% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/morning. That's MeUndies.com/morning. We're also brought to you by Faraday Brand. Can it be? It's finally summer, and we're actually gonna have a real summer this year. So naturally, we've started thinking about looking good after a year and some change, because we're going places. This summer is what Kinda Funny is calling Hot Boy Summer. You saw the jean jacket, you see the haircut, we're doing it big this summer. And that's where Faraday comes in. They make the perfect clothes for the summer. Tim Geddes is the most stylish person I know, and he even loves Faraday Brand clothing. And they're so confident in the quality of their stuff, they have a lifetime guarantee of quality. They'll replace or fix your clothes forever, no matter what. And to top it all off, Faraday is giving our listeners 20% off. That's right, 20% off. So stock up on all of your clothes for summer now. Head to FaradayBrand.com and use code MORNING at checkout to snag 20% off all your summer gear. That's code MORNING at Faraday. That is FAHERTY brand.com for 20% off. Last but not least, we're brought to you by Upstart. If you're carrying a credit balance month after month, it can feel like you're in a never-ending cycle of debt. Upstart can help you make that final payment so you can get ahead. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your credit card debt with a personal loan all online. Upstart knows you're more than just your credit score and is expanding access to affordable credit. Upstart considers your income and current employment to find you a smarter rate for your loan. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate upfront for loans between $1,000 to $50,000. You can receive funds as fast as one business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/KFMB. That is upstart.com/KFMB. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/KFMB.
Back to it, Nick.
The old man goes right back down through the house, and they're like, he went back. And cool guy with the mullet's like, he went back in the house, man. And then Donnie Wahlberg's like, don't go back in there. That's exactly what he wants us to do with that place. I've seen the movie Home Alone. We're gonna skip to the end of Home Alone where we go to the stairs and catch him when he's coming out of the basement full of water, right? So what do? They send in their cool dog, and the dog goes up. We get a scene where he's like fighting around the attic, and then he traps the dog using a very smart wall of mattress springs. And then they light the house on fire with some cool Molotov cocktails, which were in the igloo. Which, Joey, did you think there was organs in the igloo? Because I
100%. I was like,
wow.
There's a cooler shot right after the organ harvesting line. I was like, I see what you're doing.
Yep.
But
that's
not
misdirection right there.
Yeah,
they're actually
misdirection. They got
cocktails. They light the house on fire, and he's like, I can't let this dog die. I'm a man that's kidnapped multiple people. I've done unspeakable things.
He likes dogs. We know that. He just lost his.
The dog die is
another cheap move for trying to make us sympathize with this old guy. And I don't know if it was just the music and his like reaction to it, but right when this moment happens and he breaks down because he can't kill the dog, the audience across from the theater I was in burst into laughing right at that moment, and it completely ruined it for me. But like, this dude respects dogs more than women at this point.
No. Now here's the thing. This is perfectly in line with what we know about this man. When he lost his daughter, what did he do? Replaced it with another daughter.
Yeah.
When he lost his dog, what did he do? Replaced it with another dog.
Yeah. Okay.
That's, I mean,
flawless.
Cameron, sorry.
It's buttoned up. Norm McDonald's, man. I'm telling you.
Norm McDonald saves the day. Anyway, he goes back for the dog and then eventually gets pushed out of the window and all that stuff. I think we missed
But that's after the kidnapper people are like, nah, we're not fucking going back for the dog.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then that one guy's like, that ain't right, man. Like, I know we make and distribute meth and we're kidnapping a girl to steal her heart, but this is... well, I mean, steal, harvest. I don't think there's a difference there. Harvest her heart.
Thank you.
But like, this is where we're going
is
too
the
far,
line.
guys. Yeah.
Now, first off, I was like, that guy was like the quiet one, kind of the sultry one, and I was like, there's something extra to this guy, right? And then he's like, hey, man, that's messed up. Your dog was loyal. That's a loyal animal to you. You should go in and get that dog. And the guy's like, who cares, man? It's a dog. I'm like, something's coming with this guy, and I think it's gonna be pretty good. And I was not disappointed. Anyway, I missed the part where the girl had to sneak around on the outside of the house and like drop down or whatever. But this guy grabbed her and he's like, "Don't like stop struggling. It's okay." And I was like,
Got the chloroform.
I'll do whatever you say, man. With the chloroform thing. I was like, cool guy with cool beard. Let's go. They take her away, and Norm Macdonald falls out of the upstairs window. And the dog, I think, makes it out the front door. And all
very reminiscent of the last movie, right?
He falls out of the glass. That's right.
The glass starts cracking, and he's like, "Wow, this is just like with that one kid that I thought I stabbed with scissors, but then later shot in the head."
Yeah,
as he opened the door.
Murdered that kid. Don't forget, never forget. Guy with bad haircut, dead. Fuck you, Alex. So we cut over to the hotel now, and Phoenix has awoken, and she's like,
"Who's Alex?"
The character's name was Alex.
Oh, that was from last week. Got it. All right.
Yeah. And Donnie Wahlberg's like, "Hey man, I'm your dad. You're not a prisoner here. You can go whenever you want to go." And then she's like, "Cool, then I choose to get the fuck out of here because this is clearly a meth den, and there's lots of people here who do meth." And so she goes out the front door, but then
real quick.
Yeah.
Can we just sneak into abandoned hotels and live there? Because
You can
that's
if you
pretty cool.
rewire them.
Pretty damn
You
cool.
power them up.
Yeah.
Anything's possible in Detroit of the future, man. This is pre-RoboCop time.
8 years
Okay.
later. This is 8 years later for sure.
It's pre-RoboCop. So she goes downstairs, and then a shadowy figure comes out in a wheelchair and starts singing, "Remember me."
Yep.
And she's like, "Mama, that's the one thing I remember. I don't remember anything about you
Anything
at
else?
all.
About
But
my
this is the
parents,
one thing I
anything."
remember." And so she's like, "Can I give you a hug?" And she's a little off, but we're like, whatever. I mean, these people do a lot of meth, so maybe this is going to be one happy meth family. Anyway, she's like,
At this point in the plot, we don't know anything about meth, by the way.
No, we don't.
Good point.
We don't. You're right.
They have not introduced meth at all into
Strong
this.
call. Very strong call. So we're led to believe that this is just going
Hey,
to
I'm
be
space
one
right now, trying to trace back. Like, did they mention meth before?
Well, the
No.
way I think we do, because the mom, the way she explains it to her, she says we
Well,
have a
that's
kitchen, but we
coming
knew
up.
before then, didn't
That's
we?
coming up next. Right?
Yeah.
Because then they go
She
upstairs.
talks about being a cook.
And she's like, "Hey, here's what happened. We used to have your dad and I used to have a kitchen in our basement where we made a product, and then it exploded, and I inhaled a lot of that product, and now my insides are all fucked up. Now we've replaced the lungs, the kidneys, the dietary tract, my stomach, and my bladder. All I need is a heart."
You had a lot of siblings.
And guess what? Guess what, little Phoenix? First off, good news. Your name's really Tara. Way easier to spell. Bad news is everyone's gonna call you Tara, and it's gonna piss you off for the rest of your fucking life.
They
which is
didn't
only
keep it
gonna last
clean.
20 minutes.
No.
The dad said Tara, the mom said Tara.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's the problem with it. Lara. Just put a U in there if you want it.
Yeah,
You see
figure
what
it
I'm saying?
out.
Put
Tora.
a U in there. Is it Lara Croft? Is it Laura Croft? I guess it depends on what continent Andy's racing on. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, the horror sets in that they're basically just going to use this child to harvest. Oh, Tim's gone. To steal her heart. Right? He's not-
Wow, you had to wait
Yeah.
till he was gone.
I had to wait till he's gone to sneak that one in. Right?
You're a goddamn
gonna tell.
coward. I'll
I'm
say
gonna
it to
tell
your
him.
face.
Meanwhile, back over at Norm Macdonald's house, he's like, "Shit, I don't know what I'm gonna do." And then he hears it. He hears little bells ringing, and he's like, "I can hear the bells ring. I'm gonna follow the bells." Follows the dog's there. He's like, "Go home for Christ's sake!" And the dog at this point is like, "I guess I will go home, but you might need me." So it sticks around, and then he goes and he finds Hernandez's body, and then he finds the little bells, and he goes, "Oh, I know what I'll do." And he ties a bell to the
You're gonna
dog,
need
and then he
these.
suits up with a bunch of very, 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 very toxic insect killer. By the way, if you were in a cloud of this, for sure this would not be good. I don't think you'd be able to hand-to-hand
I
fight
think
this.
you'll be fine. You've
But
never
this guy
done a
doesn't give a
flea
shit.
bomb and like you put it in the water and you're like, I should probably get out. This is filling up the room.
No, I
I'm
can
like,
say
but
I
I
haven't.
forgot my thing. Oh,
But
me
I
neither.
have been to bars where you drink out of one big punch bowl. I feel like it's kind of the same thing.
Very different.
Anyhow, he suits up and then he puts a bell on the dog, and then he puts one of those strap ties on her, like a tie downs on the dog, and he's like, "All right, go home." And the dog's like, "All right, now I'll really go home." So the dog heads off.
Well, no,
There-
they did set that up that it was
confusion.
the only road in and out of this place. So
That's
going
true.
home meant passing by this thing.
I totally understand that. And I'm just trying to figure out if the dog could actually find its way back to this hotel. Is the hotel just right outside this road? I don't know.
I was really wondering how he was
How
going to get to them.
far is this hotel from his place? Because
Yeah.
presumably it's at least a few miles, right?
Yeah, look, they didn't
He
give
seems
us
like a fast
good
walker.
Well, I mean, it kind of seemed like this whole thing happened over the span of the full night. Like they probably got there at like 8 o'clock. So it might have been 2 hours that he was walking. Well, that's a lot of confidence to have in this fucking
That girl
dog.
was knocked out for a while, for who knows how long.
Right,
before
right,
she
right.
woke up.
She wakes
but-
up, of course. They give her orange juice with some drugs. She wakes up, of course, and looks over at her mom. And her mom, in the most creepy line of the whole thing, just goes, "Thank you." Like,
Oh, yeah.
besties. And it's bad. Kevin, what were you going to say?
I just this whole shit is so like it's so weird how the mom character is so like excited about it, even though she knows that the like kid is not willingly doing this.
No,
Yeah.
but she's twisted. She's all fucked up, and she's kind of supposed to be sort of.
Don't
like a
do meth,
psychotic
kids.
character.
I have a little
This
bit more
is the
confusion about the dog.
way?
Because the dog in some parts has been like, "Oh, hello, blind man. I am now loyal to you. You saved me. You're my new owner."
Mhm.
But also loyal enough to his original owner that he wants to go home, or that he's like,
No,
I
he
think
just
trying to
got
go
the
home?
order
Doesn't
to
know
go
the-
home.
He doesn't
Yeah.
know the original owner tried to left him to die, I guess.
I think he does. I think that he does.
does?
I definitely got the feeling that he was aware of that and ready to betray the original owner. So when the new owner is like, "Go home," he hasn't established a new home. So the only home in his little mental catalog is the original home.
But also,
Hotel.
dogs very smart. So when I say go home, what they take it to mean is go home and exact revenge. And that is exactly what we do here, right? Right. Because as the doctor, who's like, the doctor's like, I'll be honest with you guys, 5% chance is working. I don't have the tool. Tim, you'll appreciate this because you're a huge fan of this movie. 1989 Batman. He's like, look at these crude tools I have. I'm so sorry. I don't know. Just so everyone knows, full caveat: if she dies, not my fault. And Donnie Wahlberg's like, if she fucking dies, I'm gonna put a bullet through your head.
100%. 100% they're putting a bullet through his fucking head if she
This
dies.
guy's dead anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
they draw the line down the thing, and then the power goes out. And Donnie Wahlberg's like, it's him.
"Oh,
He's here.
and the most fucked up part where they were like, "Oh, we don't have all the tools, so I have to take her heart while she's breathing."
While she's breathing.
But
Yeah.
like while she's breathing, like that could still mean
you can still
Sedated.
anesthetize her.
sedated. But like
but he's
just
he'd
like,
be a
"It's
surgeon
fine."
and an anesthesiologist.
I'm not gonna lie.
That's
I'm not
too
gonna lie.
much.
I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy doing this while they're awake. So like, we got
This
it.
guy likes it. This guy gets off on doing things like
Yeah.
this. He's creepy. Anyway, doesn't matter. Lights go out, and the guy's like, he's like,
Yes, they
it's
do.
It's the old
Everyone.
guy.
Yes, they fucking
they
do.
fucking go out, bro. You think the fucking lights weren't gonna go out in this movie? You better not fucking
You're wrong.
breathe, bro. Don't sleep on it.
You better
sleep.
not fucking breathe.
So the lights go out, and he goes. And this is what I wanted. I wanted to call this out. I'm glad I remembered this. Good job, Nick. Brain's working. He goes, "What? Who is it? It's the old guy. Go get get the guys and go down there and get him." And he goes, and the one of the guys goes, "How many guys do you want me to bring?" And he turns to him, and the camera
I
dollies
laughed
in,
so hard. I
and he
laughed.
goes, "All the guys." Now, it didn't work, but it did remind me of a scene that did work in this movie
The
called
Professional.
The Professional, where
So
Gary
good.
Oldman
All
screams,
of
"Bring me
them."
everyone," and his guy goes, "Boss," and he just screams, "Everyone!" And then fucking hella SWAT teams come in to try to kill Jean Reno.
It's only 4. It's only 4.
There's so many crazy. Anyway, I like that because in my brain, I'm like, that was a fun little homage to that. Tim, if you haven't seen The Professional, you should watch it. Do not, however, watch Leon the Professional, which is the original French cut of that, which is kind of creepy.
But it's creepy in a really weird way. I think Tim, you'll get a lot out of it.
I've seen
Watch.
The Professional.
Well, there you go.
I've not
Tim.
seen Leon the Professional.
Well, let's keep it with The
It gets
Professional.
real creepy, real creepy. The little girl.
Don't like that.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway, they go down into the thing. We have the boss battle between him and blind guy, and he stuffs a bell down his mouth so he can follow him, and then
Fuck
shoots
yeah.
him,
What
And
the
then-
hell?
and
It
then
was-
just takes the hammer to his head and just like, bah, just fucking crack his thing open.
When I said a flair for the dramatic earlier, I was thinking of this specific sequence where it's like you're blind and you waited for the guy to turn on the light before attacking him just so you can have the appearance behind him. Like he's planning all this stuff out and then using a bell, it's like you had access to his face. Just
Yeah.
should have brought a knife or something. But like,
Yeah.
Well, he
Don't
has to
bring
show
a
off
bell
the hatchet.
to a
He
knife
brought
fight.
a knife. He brought a giant machete. Remember?
He did
Yeah,
bring a
and-
machete.
But he didn't use
It got
the
knocked out of his hands.
opportunity.
Yeah, it got knocked out of his hands. That's right. All he
It's-
had was the bell, so he jammed that thing as far down as he could.
And the
Also,
guy's
that's
like,
not how bells work. They're not like you hold a bell in your hand, you're barely hearing that. That's
Yeah,
what
if
this
it's
guy's
stuck in
saying.
your
Let
throat, you're
alone
probably
your
not gonna hear it.
esophagus wrapped around
Yeah.
it.
But either way, this guy gets the Hernandez treatment. So what goes around comes around. Oh, there it is, guys. And he just gets fucking hammered right to the head. He's like, no, just cracks it up like walnut, right? Then the other 4 guys come down. And there's water everywhere, and they come down and they see Norm Macdonald, and he's passed out. And then he waits for their feet to hit the water, and as the ripple hits his hand, he knows it's fucking time. And with expert precision, shoots all 4 of these guys with a
3.
handgun. 3 of these guys, except for the smart, sexy guy who was like, I'm not
He didn't go in the water.
gonna go in the water. And he was like, there, and he's like, hey man, she's upstairs, they're gonna kill her. That's not cool with me. And then he leaves.
And it was like, I respect him.
And
He's
I was
got
like,
rules. He sticks to them. I like it.
Good you. Because at the end of
Good
the day,
you.
they were like, this is our business. He's like, there's other people that make meth. I can go work for them. We
Yep.
don't need to be kidnapping
These guys
Well,
going
to
way
be
too
He
far.
has
fair,
a code of
excitable
ethics. No
for
killing
me.
children, no killing dogs.
Exactly. And I respect that. Those are my
no
codes
killing
too.
dogs that are still loyal to you.
Yeah.
I feel
If
like
a
that's an
dog
important
bites you,
caveat. Yeah, that's right. Like if
I
you
don't
break
think
the
he
loyalty,
killed the other dog.
right?
no,
'Cause
but
he- Because that
No,
guy
the
came
blonde guy
later
did.
with the dog with the ram thing to get the metal door open. So he wasn't around for the dog killing.
Well, I think
Mhm.
blonde guy killed the dog because he shot the
Yeah.
wood next to her in the same
Yeah.
fashion. It sounded
they
like
all
the
had
same sound
guns though,
effects.
Nick. You don't think?
They probably all had cool guns too. They're all nickel plated. I always love that. It's very gangster. Like,
It looks like a toy.
it does.
Like when the girl in the truck or the van pulled out her gun, I was like, that looks like she's got like a plastic thing that's been spray painted with like fake metal.
You gotta be careful with those. So with all those people dead, now they're like, well, we gotta get out of here, right? This is not gonna work. Plan B, we gotta go to a hospital, we gotta go something else. I'm getting the hell out of here. So they go down to the pool, which apparently when they build pools in Detroit, Cameron, I don't know how they build them up in Canada, but apparently in Detroit, the deep end of pools are 20 stories deep.
What the
They're
fuck?
so deep.
That was the deepest pool I've ever seen in my
It's
life.
so, and it's not very long, but they were like, we don't have a lot of length, Kevin, and we don't have
So
a lot
we
of
gotta
width.
get depth.
What if we just made it like as deep as Lake Tahoe? You know, what
Because
if
that's
we-
how
Look
pool
An apartment
capacity
building with
works.
pools.
exactly.
So
And so they
earlier-
go down there, and
Earlier,
this
I was
doctor-
talking about how much I appreciate the mom in the wheelchair coming out and singing, and like that was fucking crazy. Followed up immediately by the reveal of the Harvested Heart plotline and all that. But nothing ever could have prepared me for this final fight scene, and specifically the shot of the young girl being handcuffed to the mom and the wheelchair in like the gas smoke and stuff, almost falling into the way too deep pool, but then not quite. And then what ends up ensuing after that of her arm getting cut off by the girl, like this fucking movie, guys.
Wait, doesn't she then still fall in?
she does.
Yes.
On the mom.
On the
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, at that point, it's safe. It's like landing on a
Poetry.
car.
It rhymes.
Exactly. It rhymes. It's cyclical. So that all happens. She has to hack off her mom's arm, which is,
Yeah.
in my opinion, turn about quid pro quo, right? You're gonna cut my heart out. I'm like, you're gonna cut my heart out. Come on, and I'm gonna cut your arm off. That's
Well,
what's gonna
and
happen.
this is all happening because the blind guy threw the smoke grenades. He's fighting the dad,
Right,
and the
dad.
dad accidentally just errantly
the mom.
fires and
Right.
shoots the mom, and she's bleeding out.
Of course, the dad eventually Norm Macdonald gets the better of the dad. I forget how that happens. I think he runs over to check. It doesn't matter. And then he goes, "Now you see what I see," and he gouges out his eyes, and like gelatin, like pus,
Oh my God.
they just pop and they just kind of come
For
down
way
his
too long.
cheeks.
Way too long.
I didn't watch any of
And
this.
you would
I was
think
all-
you're
I was
like-
this.
You should check and see if this guy's dead, right?
It doesn't
But he
matter. He can't
doesn't.
see.
Instead-
He can't see. There's no way he's gonna find a knife and then
Right.
stick you with the knife afterwards.
Exactly. Well, apparently he does, because the Phoenix is like, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm coming to you, and he goes, "Don't come to me. Everyone I touch turns to crap. It's death all around me.
But
gotta
you
just go
always
live your
kill
own
them.
life."
You're always
the-
the one that killed everyone,
Exactly.
right?
It's the
Uh,
one time they acknowledge where he says, I have murdered, I have raped.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah,
okay. But like,
I don't
I'd be
think I was
like- I'd be
talking
like,
about.
it.
Let's put a pin in that first one, because I've seen you do that one. What's the second?
Yes.
What's the second one that you did? Anyway, he says this, and she's like, "All right, I'm out. I'm going to this orphanage that looks, compared to this living fucking nightmare that I'm in, this orphanage is going to be fucking heaven." And then of course Donnie Wahlberg comes back and he stabs the old guy, and then before he can cut his throat, Phoenix puts that machete right through his fucking abdomen and kills him.
Yeah.
And she's using like 9. She's like, this thing's heavy. He falls down, and she goes to help Norm Macdonald by plugging the hole that's been left in his liver, and he says no. He takes her hand off. He's like, it's time. You got to get away from me. Go live your life. Go be happy. I have to die. And this thing's just pumping blood out, right? And just like Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad, it's like you look better like this, right? With all those bad thoughts out of your liver. And so it is. She goes, I think that's it, right? What else happens?
No, she goes to the orphanage.
She goes to orphanage. She's like,
It's
and then
now
she
the
has
morning.
the worst line of dialogue.
Worst line
in the entire movie. Hey, you guys got room for one more? And the kid's like, a real kid like this. What the fuck are you talking about?
Run,
hell,
run.
go
No,
to
this is
adult.
above my pay grade. I don't think
I don't know, man. You fucking weirdo. Get the fuck out. Go to the administration office, I guess, if you want to check yourself in. Also, you got to go. There's other. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Kid's like, yeah, of course we got time for one more. I haven't seen you around the playground. We're looking for another person to hang out with. Let's all be friends. And then the credits roll. And then we get an end credit scene, which debatably means Norm Macdonald's either alive or the dog is going to snack on his body for a very long time until his skin turns rancid and the dog has to find another source of sustenance.
I would pay a dumb amount of money for an alternate ending to this, where she goes to the orphanage and then we think everything's good, and we get the one more dramatic. He's behind him, the dad, like
The new
popped
blind
eyes, the new blind man comes out for whatever, but she's
After
like,
that he cracked his head in the swimming pool? Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
get you kid,
Yeah.
get the scooter. Put it up against the spinny carousel thing. And then they do that. And then our
Spin our
blind
heart
man
out.
comes back from the first movie to grab. No, fuck that. The surfer girl from
Surfer
California. She's like,
I've been
I'm
watching
back.
it.
And then she grabs his head. The thing's spinning. And then she goes, surf's up. And then like puts his face and he just starts going like
Cool.
Sandman in
Very cool.
in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
tonally would have fit with how they cut to credits in this, where the way she says names Phoenix and then the guitars fucking come in. This movie decided like it's badass. She sided with this old man on this whole situation of who's the real
But
parents.
like,
of like,
what were the alternatives? The people
yeah,
that just
I mean,
wanted
but
her
also
heart?
it's like,
Well, there was 3
it's a-
alternatives total, right? It was either Phoenix, Tara, or Tara. She had her choices.
or Ray Skywalker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh my god.
Oh my god!
God.
Good joke.
That would have been amazing. That would have been amazing.
And that's the movie.
There's 7 syllables in the middle. There's 5 in the first and last line. If you're not poetic, no need to credit haikus. Don't need to rhyme.
Turned in the haiku
review.
for this.
Haiku and review. Oh, we got
Which-
2 of them.
One of
We
you
got 2.
psychopaths did that. All right, cool.
Joe Mertens writes into patreon.com/kindoffunny, just like you can, who says, we didn't need this. What? No turkey basters here.
Ugh.
We didn't need this. And Grant Burton says, an eye for an eye. Lights out. You're going to die. Is he a bad guy? Yes. And now we got to do it. Ragu bagu. Da 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 da.
Ragu.
Da 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 da.
Bagu. What's up, everyone? Well, Greg, I talk bad guys for here for Don't You Fucking Breathe and review. The first number 1 on our list is the Blind Man and Money. Where do we want to put Donnie Wahlberg and the Funky
Parentheses,
Bunch?
greed.
And greed, yes, and meth. We'll put meth. Donnie Wahlberg and the Funky Bunch. Where do we want to put them? Number 1 or number 2?
I'm gonna say 2.
Second, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think this movie's just second all around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I agree.
Me too.
These were not well written villains in any stretch of the imagination. They're just,
Oh.
it's really make everyone worse than the old man and then surround the old man with things that we like. And that's
Yeah.
kind of all
That
the
is
characters in this
correct.
movie are.
God, what an adventure. What an adventure this is. But like I said, next week we're going to go to Scream, which I'm really excited about. I've definitely only seen each one of those movies once. And I've definitely only seen them once. So I'm excited to go back to them. Have you seen all the Screams, Joey?
I'm confident that I've seen some part of each Scream, but I think I've only ever seen the first one in its entirety.
And then Nick, have you seen Scream 4?
Which one's the one where they're making the movie about?
That's
Scream?
3,
It's 3.
I think.
Then
I
I
think
don't
that's
know
right.
that I've seen Scream 4.
I'm excited for you to see Scream 4. This is going to be a good time. Cam, thank you so much for all the work you do for us here at Kind of Funny, all of the intros for Kind of Funny in Review, and I'm sure there'll be many other things in the future, but also for just being on the show and being a cool dude. Where can people find you and your cool dude adventures?
Easiest way to find me is on Twitter at Cameron Ken. That's CAMERONKEN. And yeah, thank you guys for everything for years at this point of doing so much for me.
Oh yeah, man. We'll always be here. Exciting times ahead. Until those exciting times, I love you. Goodbye.